It's almost!
He's done it again! Unbelievable!
Oh, straight into the roof of the net. Nice one. Straight down the middle. So a good performance.
Hi and welcome to Firstpost. I'm Rupha Ramani. Let's get started. Right on the show today, is China scared of India? We're speaking about the Chess Olympiad that's underway in Budapest, and Gukesh was set to face Ding Liren in a game, but was substituted with another player moments before. Is China protecting Liren, or is this some sort of a ploy? Also, over in cricket, India versus Bangladesh kicked off in India's Chennai today. Day one action saw Hassan Mahmood disturb the Indian batting lineup. His fiery spell is the talk of the town. Who is Hassan Mahmood? And the football calendar is so chock-a-block that players seem to be on the back foot. Thierry Henry says they are playing with no joy. Are international footballers on the verge of going on a strike? But first, let's take a look at the headlines. Starting with cricket, former Sri Lanka player and cricket coach Duleep Samaraweera has been banned by Australia cricket for 20 years for inappropriate behaviour towards a female player. Samaraweera had coached women's teams in Australia. The most noteworthy stint was with the Melbourne Stars in BBL. Afghanistan registered their first ever win over South Africa. They beat the Proteas by 6 wickets in the first of the 3-match ODI series. Batting first, South Africa were bowled out for a mere 106 runs. Fazal Haq Farooqi and 18-year-old mystery spinner Allah Ghazanfar starred in their historic win. Reports suggest the 2025 IPL mega auction is likely to be held in November towards December. In those 2 months, it could reportedly be held in West Asia. Some potential venues being discussed include Doha, Abu Dhabi and Saudi Arabia. The auction rules, though, are yet to be announced. Over in football, Manchester City started their Champions League campaign with a draw. They played a goalless draw against Inter Milan. Kevin De Bruyne got injured during the first half, a big blow, and was forced to sit out through the second. And in tennis, women's world number 6 Coco Gauff has parted ways with her coach Brad Gilbert. The move comes after Gauff's failure at the Paris Olympics and a disappointing outing at the US Open. Gilbert and Gauff, in their 14-month-long stint together, won the US Open last year, her lone slam. Gilbert has coached some of the best in tennis, a list that includes the likes of Andy Murray, Andre Agassi and Andy Roddick. Is China protecting Ding Liren? The World Championship face-off against India's D Gukesh is looming large. Is China wary of things not going their way when the two clash? The matchup is 2 months down the line, but China seems to have put some brakes on a teaser before the main event. Ding Liren didn't show up to face D Gukesh. Before I get to that, let me set this one up for you first. The two players were set to take on each other at the Chess Olympiad that is underway in Budapest. Now, just to give you a bit of a backgrounder on how this tournament works, Chess Olympiad is played between countries. So every country field their very best players across the Open, which is the men's and women's categories. And this year, the format is such that each team and player will play 11 rounds. A win, of course, gets you 2 points and a draw 1 point. It's a little over the halfway mark currently, and India is holding strong, holding the fort in the #1 spot. So now getting back to China, what did they do ahead of the big encounter, the trailer that we would have liked to witness had Liren and Gukesh indeed faced off? Ding Liren was rested by China to avoid coming face-to-face with Gukesh in the 7th round. So who stepped in for Liren? Wei Yi. It was a marathon 6-hour-long affair before Gukesh came out triumphant. It was such a rage that even Magnus Carlsen walked over to be a spectator to Gukesh's masterclass. While Wei managed to put up a long fight, Liren didn't even get the chance to compete against the Indian prodigy. But why this sudden twist in the tale? Why this decision to pull out Liren and avoid him facing Gukesh? Liren is a world champion. He's one of China's best. And China is the sort of country that always pushes their athletes across sporting disciplines to win every single time they step onto any tournament. Winning is the only thing that matters for them. So why this defensive move? Were they afraid of an embarrassing loss that would dent the confidence of their player ahead of a big battle coming up? Or is this a mere ploy to keep Gukesh guessing? Reports say the decision to seal the players were made after Liren's sixth round loss to Vietnam's Liam Le. A meek surrender despite starting strong, even as Gukesh has been marching on unstoppable. In fact, he has truly showed how complex a chess player he can be. He's taken this Olympiad to display layers of his game. In fact, before the slow death he delivered to his Chinese opponent, Gukesh registered his fastest win against Azerbaijan's Aydin Süleymanli in round 5. And the win came despite starting with black. So both Gukesh and Liren have been on opposite ends right through this tournament. India, in fact, sits on top of the points table with 14 points and an unbeaten run. The Indian contingent, in fact, scored victories over fourth-placed Hungary, a competitive Serbia, China, of course, and Azerbaijan. That's whom they registered wins over. Azerbaijan, in fact, a top contender. The mighty China is languishing at number 8. They've managed to score 11 points so far. So clearly, the world champion wasn't confident enough, Ding Liren here, or China chose to push him to the side to protect him from what could have been carnage. China doing all they can to safeguard the fireworks for later. Given the terror of Gukesh at the Chess Olympiad, either that or they just didn't want Liren to feel defeated, because it has not been a solid year for the world champion. Ever since he made a comeback after that long hiatus, most of Liren's results have been draws, 27 of them. In fact, his first victory came after 27 draws and 6 losses. He found some form before the Olympiad with back-to-back wins in 10 matches, but he seems to have faltered on the very big stage here, like the Chess Olympiad. In fact, in an exclusive chat with me just some months ago, he admitted he was feeling the nerves.
I take a long break last year, but considering the results this year, I may have to take another long break to recover from my bad results. There are still a couple months ahead, and there are still many huge important tournaments before the championship. I think if I can avoid the last place in any of the tournament, I may even win this one.
And it isn't just that. Watching Gukesh plunder his opponents at the Olympiad, Liren has openly stated that Gukesh holds the key to their big encounter.
I can see my opponent playing extremely well in this tournament. Maybe he is a favourite in the World Championship match. He also has a higher rating than me.
Liren clearly is a little intimidated, even as just about everyone in the chess world is waiting for this showdown that's set to take place in Singapore's island Sentosa towards the end of this year. A wait that just seems a little too long. Gukesh's red-hot form has pushed China and Liren on the back foot, or so it would clearly seem, unless there's a bigger game plan here at play that China doesn't want to reveal just yet, though this seems a little far-fetched. Either way, the move clearly shows that what kind of a threat Gukesh is turning out to be, and he's clearly on a mission here, because in the last edition of this very tournament, the Olympiad, which took place in India's city of Chennai, Gukesh and India had to settle for bronze. The heartbreak of that near miss, where India finished with 18 points, just 1 point separating them from gold medal winners, Uzbekistan. That is still a loss that is fresh for India. So Gukesh and his teammates won't settle for anything less than gold. It's been day one of the first test between India and Bangladesh, and as expected, there have been fireworks from both the hosts and the visitors. If India looked like they hadn't played a test in a long while, then Bangladesh certainly looked like the side that's just coming off a whitewashed win over Pakistan. Nevertheless, the two traded blows, and Chennai's Chepauk Stadium set the perfect platform for a good contest between bat and ball. India did manage to steady things, but the one who set day one on fire, apart from India's R. Ashwin and Ravindra Jadeja, with that late order batting, has to be Bangladesh pacer Hasan Mahmood. Now, before I get into who he is and what his story really is, let's recap what he actually managed to achieve today. Now, the first session is where things happen that sets up for how the test will pan out. Hasan Mahmood knocked out 3 of India's best batters in a single spell and then came back to take out a settled-looking Rishabh Pant. That's right, he managed to dismiss India captain Rohit Sharma, India's most prolific batter Virat Kohli, the blue-eyed boy of Indian cricket Shubman Gill, and of course the comeback man Rishabh Pant. The conditions were overcast at the start, and any pacer who can swing the ball both ways, like Mahmood, would be waiting to unleash fury. Bangladesh skipper Shanto boldly chose to field first, but here was a relatively inexperienced Bangladesh pacer tearing into India's top order and making them pay. So how did he do it? Rohit Sharma's dismissal, his first one, was a work of art. Hasan completely wore down the veteran batter with deliveries going away and into him. He kept Rohit guessing right through and ultimately got him out with some clever, deceptive work. Now, Gill was a tad unlucky. He got out to a delivery going a little wayward and was caught out to an unfortunate edge. And then the prized wicket of Kohli. Virat Kohli just looked like he probably was a little out of sorts, and that poke outside off to a bowler in the best possible rhythm was suicidal. And Hasan was not just clinical, he was consistent with his length and his accuracy. He basically did not let India settle down. He kept them on the back foot and kept putting pressure, resulting in Rishabh Pant being sent back too. Now, what's Hasan done leading into this test? First of all, he's just 25 years old, and he's slowly gaining reputation as Bangladesh's pace spearhead. Now, a few facts about him and his progressional rise from one format to the other. He made his T20 debut in the year 2020. That came at the back of an impressive performance in the 2018 Under-19 Cricket World Cup, where he finished with 9 wickets from 6 matches. He was initially in their plans only for the shorter formats. He made his ODI transition in 2021 on the back of his performance in the Bangabandhu T20 Cup for eventual winners, where he'd taken 11 wickets in the tournament. But his transition into Tests has truly paid off. In fact, he entered Tests only earlier this year, making his debut against Sri Lanka. He averages an impressive 25 from his 3 previous Tests. He actually became quite the household name during the series against Pakistan recently. That's when he shot to fame. That's where he picked up a fifer, helping Bangladesh get their first and only series win over Pakistan ever. He was the 3rd highest wicket taker in that series too. And much of that confidence that you saw against a very potent Indian batting lineup, one of the best in the world, came from that series win against Pakistan. A very promising talent for the future and someone who will be key to Bangladesh's cricketing fortunes. Strike, a word big enough to terrorize any organization because it reflects that something isn't right about their governance. Footballers are on the verge of doing exactly that. The guilty party here, UEFA and FIFA. Manchester City star and Spain's Euros hero Rodri, in a statement, has said that footballers are this close to going on a strike. The reason is the Champions League schedule and the proposed FIFA World Cup format, which will be applicable from 2025. A decision that has made an already packed calendar a more hectic one for the players. But Rodri isn't the only one angry or miffed about this. With so much frustration among all of the top players building up, where are things headed? Here's a report.
It is with reason that football is referred to as the beautiful game. It's a sport that unites countries and brings joy. But it seems international footballers are feeling anything but joyous now. UEFA and FIFA's decision to expand the Champions League and Club World Cup has not gone down all too well with the athletes. The Champions League expansion has already come into place, and the FIFA Club World Cup expansion will be applicable from the next summer, which means many more matches in what's already a packed calendar. The governing bodies benefit from this. It means more ticket sales, more TV broadcasting rights, and most importantly, more money. But what about the footballers? The players who have to play these matches? Ballon d'Or contender Rodri claims they're on the verge of going on a strike.
I think we're close to that. I mean, because it's easy to understand. I mean, if we're asking something, and I think it's something general, I think you ask any player, he will say the same. It's not like the opinion of Rodri or whatever. No, I think it's a general opinion of the players. And if it keeps this way, it will be a moment that we have no other option.
The Champions League new format kicked in this weekend, quite an early start to the tournament. Usually the Champions League fixtures would start later in a calendar year. But given that more teams have been added, the Champions League fixtures, which used to be a weekend thing, have now become a weekday thing too, not giving footballers much of a break in between games.
Mentally, to recover from all these games is difficult. They're playing too many games. I see players sometimes playing without joy anymore. If you see the Euros, all the best players were tired.
Rodri and Henry aren't the only big names to have their frustration and dissent over the packed schedule. Liverpool goalkeeper Alisson too chipped in.
Sometimes nobody asks the players what they think about adding more games, so maybe our opinion does not matter.
Football has often been driven by footballers, not the organizations. This new expansion is opening doors to more fatigue, leading to more injuries. This could also see star players opting out of major competitions, which will eventually lead to the quality of tournaments taking a hit. Fans come in for the star players, for big names and high-octane clashes, quality over quantity. So unless these concerns are addressed, UEFA and FIFA are in for a battle coming their way.
Now, gaslighting is an art, but it's definitely not one that I would recommend. However, riding a gas balloon is surely an experience to have. In Germany, players competed in the oldest balloon race, Gordon Bennett Cup. And some athletes even covered and traveled distances of over 1,200 miles to be crowned champions. Take a look. That wraps up First Sports here today, but I'll of course see you again tomorrow. Till then, do take care. Bye-bye.